it's actually not too scary. It doesn't take many risks, it isn't particularly innovative.
There's so much potential there, and ultimately, I don't think it hit that potential.
Is Alone in the Dark 2024 scary? No.
As for the enemies themselves, the small assortment of Alone in the Dark shadowy demons looked like they were based off preliminary doodles stolen from Shinji Mikami's sketchbook.
Hello, beautiful people. Today we're going over the sad story of Alone in the Dark. It's been out for a year, and things have not been great. Disappointing sales, a studio shuttered, and the future of the franchise once again left up in the air. Now, let's bring some light to this story. In order to explain what happened here, we have to go back to where it all started. With an armadillo. Infogrames was a French video game publisher who was around for years. You'd often see this colorful boy at the start of a lot of low-budget but good little games on the PlayStation. I saw that logo open a lot of PS1 games, V-Rally, Heart of Darkness, Driver 2, and also Alone in the Dark. They developed the original and released it on MS-DOS all the way back in 1992, and all its sequels up until Alone in the Dark Illumination in 2015, when they had already rebranded as Atari after a very long and complicated history, where they tried to buy up the entire games industry and ended up flying too close to the sun.
Careful, Icarus.
Continuing this long and difficult history with losing money and trying to turn things around, they sold off some assets, including the Alone in the Dark name to THQ Nordic, a company with its own set of financial problems these last few years. Most notably, they're the publishing arm of Embracer Group, and if you've heard that name before, it's because a lot has happened around them. The short of it, they went on a spending spree, saving as many IPs as they could in order to make the company more attractive to future investors. Essentially spending millions to paint the outhouse gold so people would be more inclined to enter. That didn't work out, which ended with Embracer shutting down a bunch of studios starting in 2023. Now what does this have to do with Alone in the Dark? Wait, who's that? Shocking. Essentially, Alone in the Dark was given the impossible task of not just being successful, but needing to be incredibly successful. And that incredible weight was already felt before the game even released, with all the trailers and industry talk selling an experience that was much bigger than the game ever would be. All that aside, the game wasn't a complete loss. Personally, I really liked Alone in the Dark. I even recommend it, but go in with an open mind. The game follows Emily Hartwood, who has come to the Deserto Manor to find her uncle after receiving a disturbing letter from him. She brings along Detective Edward Carnby, who is there to provide muscle in case things don't go as planned. What follows is an investigation of the mansion and its residents, as you are made aware that Jeremy has gone missing, and things are not what they seem in Deserto. Before exploring the mansion, you have to choose between playing either as Emily or Edward. Most people choose Edward because, look at him, what a man. For real though, that chin has probably landed David Harbour many roles. The stunt casting of David Harbour and Jodie Comer was used heavily in the marketing for the game, and I admit, it worked a little bit on me. Playing through this, the story is kind of more relaxed and slow-paced than you'd expect. The game isn't rushing you from one set piece to the next, instead letting you explore the mansion at your own pace, meet the strange cast of characters occupying it, and just piece together what's happening. It feels more like a point and click than Resident Evil, and I just enjoy the laid-back vibes here. The game has a very strong Halloween atmosphere. The mansion goes through various stages, but the most common is the late afternoon, early dusk as the last gaps of sunshine come through the windows and illuminate the rooms. I could spend an entire game in this environment. After a while, you get transported from there to areas in the Dark World, TM. It's a striking change of scenery, but never too oppressive. After a few minutes, you find yourself sinking back into that feeling of, this is vibes.
Most of the combat is slow, considered gunplay. There's not a lot to it, but I think it does what it needs to.
It's fun and it's functional, which is really all it ever needed to be.
Could a modern horror game benefit from having similarly janky self-defense systems? As it turns out, the answer is no.
I don't think it's a controversial opinion to say the game would have been better without the combat. But because it's a reboot, and it was in the first game, we have to put it in here. You'll run into monsters which design-wise are fine. Combat is also fine. You have your over-the-shoulder shooting and there's a dodge button like in Alan Wake, which makes it very hard for enemies to hit you. But be careful when they do land a hit, because they can easily just spam an attack or push you into a wall. They do a lot of damage, even if their attacks seem very weak in execution. There are melee weapons which I barely used because of how awkward melee combat is. There are also items around the area you can throw around like Molotov cocktails or bricks. They make the melee weapons a little less useless in most encounters, since the bricks can stun an enemy and then you can just wail on them with whatever you picked up. Luckily, you'll never have to worry about bullets. They're everywhere. The Deserto house is packed with them, which is a little disconcerting, considering it's a home for people dealing with their mental health.
Now this'll come in handy.
Both characters play exactly the same in combat, which is a shame, and also a bit of a narrative disconnect since Emily brought along Edward as muscle, yet is still packing her own Glock.
What are you doing in my kitchen? I assure you. No,
I'm sorry.
I promise you. Mr. Hotwood is
I was just
nowhere
looking
near my
for-
kitchen, and neither should you be. Don't make me
I didn't
kick you
mean
out
to-
of this house.
Sorry.
Now get out!
Yeah.
The real standout here is the exploration and story. Whenever you talk to a character, a smooth jazz soundtrack just sneaks in so effortlessly that you need to check and make sure your wallet isn't gone. It's great, and it's not so much an homage to Twin Peaks as just trying to recreate it, and I love the game for it. Every character is an oddball, and they all react differently to the two main characters. As you get to know them and listen to their cryptic talk, you begin to realize that something isn't right. Talks of a dark man, Jeremy not really missing so much as in hiding, and everyone in the mansion seems to have a secret. A secret they enjoy keeping with absolute glee. They aren't so much suspicious as just straight up liars. It's an enjoyable experience, progressing through the story and picking up on pieces of the plot. The story takes a lot of Lovecraftian elements into it while never solely relying on them. But the nods and winks might feel a little tired in a world where the writing of Harold Philip Lovecraft has become so ingrained and overused in modern pop culture. I mean, there are already 5 more games loosely based on his work coming out in the next few months. What also doesn't help is the two main characters. Their performances are pretty stiff, especially from Jodie Comer. Her character seems to have one mode, and that's befuddlement.
Is that supposed to be my... Ow!
You should learn your place, little girl.
Why are you acting this way? What did I ever do to you?
But in order for the plot to work, both the characters need to not believe each other when confronted and questioned about the supernatural. This is a problem with both playthroughs, and if you've played the game, you know the terrible wardrobe interaction that happens much later. But what I really enjoy about the story is how it doesn't explain everything at face value to you. You need to read the journal entries, pay attention to the plot around you, and most importantly, play both campaigns. While they follow the same beats, their interpretation and representation of events help shape the story. When you put all the pieces together, you do feel a sense of accomplishment for it, which is a rare element in modern gaming and something worth exploring. I also guarantee, if you finish that first campaign, your mouth will be on the floor. Those in the know, know, but it's something that can only be described as beautiful insanity. So, has there been much change after a year? Sadly, it's still not great. Performance issues, crashes, and some really terrible stuttering that took me out of a few moments in the first playthrough. Unfortunately, the developers didn't have enough time to fix the game. They were shuttered by Embracer in June 2024, only 4 months after release. It's a sad end to this tale because what they created should be applauded for. It just didn't land the way they had hoped it would, and there are reasons for that beyond just the technical issues. The problem lies in that the franchise has kind of been in freefall for decades now. The last good title was in 2001, and even that was just okay, and didn't exactly set the world on fire. After that, we have the disastrous and perfectly maligned Alone in the Dark 2008, which was really bad in so many unique and interesting ways. 2 terrible movies shortly followed in between the games, and all things said and done, It's kind of amazing that this is even a franchise. The real icing on the cake is Alone in the Dark Illumination, a multiplayer game that no one knew about and even less people played. I don't believe in cursed franchises, but Alone in the Dark really seems to suffer from its own existence as a franchise, and a remake does sound like a surefire way to reinvigorate the brand. Unfortunately, a brand no one either remembers or cares about anymore. Then there was the price. $59 for the base game. There was also extra DLC where you could get an art book, vintage look, fluff that no one needs, and that should have been unlockable in the base game. Full AAA price for a horror that looks like it's more on par with its lower budget alternatives seems excessive. There is a little hope though. The game seems to get more eyes on it after every sale, and even on Steam it has slowly been gaining positive traction. But it's safe to say we won't be getting another game anytime soon, and honestly, this isn't a bad way to go out. Although, as long as Embracer holds the rights to the name, it's impossible to know what's going to happen. I can only hope the franchise is left alone, but not forgotten, back at that old mansion on the hill. Here we are. This is the end of the video. If you made it this far, thank you for watching. I try to make a video every week, talking mostly about indie games. If you enjoyed it, then give a like, and maybe you found me enchanting as well. In that case, why not subscribe? But, goodbye for now, and I hope to see you all next time.